Hey guys, welcome back to the Wood and Metal Workshop. We've got the 98 Ford Ranger back in the shop today. I know a lot of guys don't show their mess ups, goof ups, whatever you want to call it, on their YouTube channels. Not every project goes 100% perfectly the way you'd like it to. In this case, I had gotten the rear springs, rear shocks, rear bumper done and sent it down the road. Owner needed the truck for a little while, and I had some other projects I needed to get done, and we agreed that he'd bring it back later. In the process of using it, when I built the rear bumper, we had discussed what he wanted to use it for. He wanted a 2-inch receiver tube on there in order to tow a light aluminum trailer and to occasionally I guess that's what he told me. Yeah, I've got a light aluminum trailer that I like to tow occasionally, not too heavy. It's just a little Ranger, and so it's not not designed to tow a heavy load. However, he was towing his light aluminum trailer. He also had a 4-bike rack on there. So bike rack into the receiver with that long extension, and then another receiver tube with the ball. So the ball was the trailer tongue hookup, the hitch, was almost 2 feet, maybe a little bit further, more than 2 feet behind the bumper. And then he took that light aluminum trailer and loaded it down, and the brackets that mount this to the truck, they're the original brackets. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I reused the original mounting brackets. They weren't designed to take that kind of torque. So I should take you over there and show you what we got going, and see if we can get some light under there, and I'll show you what we're going to do to fix it. Right now I've got the bumper jacked up, bent back into position. Got pressure on it, the weight of the truck, to hold it in place while I do the repair to it. See if we can get some light here for you and get you a shot of this. Where it bent was right here in this section. So this is just like 11 gauge or maybe 10 gauge angle with a couple bends in it, and it just wasn't able to take all that pressure way out behind the truck. So what we're going to do is we're going to strengthen this angle up. Discussed it with the customer, and he knows that he put too much leverage on here. The hitch definitely can take the abuse. We got 2 3/8-inch plates that are welded in there that hold that in place. Definitely, that part's definitely not going anywhere, and then it's got a good solid tube it's mounted to, but this is designed for light loads. So what we're going to do, move the light over here, is we're going to take some 1/4-inch angle and run it from here back to here and weld that in place. So that should take the sag out of the bumper and hold it in place. So that's our fix. We're going to go ahead and get some measurements and get some steel cut, and then we'll get that done. And then we're going to go ahead and move forward on the front bumper and front shocks. And while we're at it, we are going to be, he asked if we could redo the front brakes. So And the next step in our little adventure here with the 98 Ford Ranger is the front brakes. Most of you have probably done brakes, disc brakes, pretty easy to do, pretty hard to screw them up. I'm just going to go through this really quick and show you how I do it. When I do brakes, I like to replace all the parts. It's going to cost you an extra $100 to do calipers and rotors along with the pads. Of course, brake clean and brake parts lubricant. You can buy those little envelopes for one shot at a time. I like buying the big one. This is a new one because I was out and ran out of my last brake job I did, so I remembered to grab some. So calipers, rotors, pads. In this case, I went with the cheap pads. That's what the customer wanted. Everything else is the stock stuff. Like I said, the extra parts, the rotors and calipers, it cost you an extra $100, $200. Definitely worth it, in my opinion. Brakes are the most important system on your car. More important than anything else, because if you can't stop, you're really in trouble. Along with that, when I was investigating to see what was worn out, make sure the hoses were all good and that kind of stuff, saw that needed a sway bar end link, so I picked up one of those as well. So that I like to replace everything, and then I like to lay everything out on the work table here. Got the two rotors, the pads, calipers, end link, brake parts cleaner, brake lube. Just put it all out there so you have everything right at hand while you're doing the job. If you're doing it out in the driveway and you don't have a cart to put everything on, that's a little different. But like I said, I like to just lay this stuff out here and have it handy and ready to go. I didn't open this one yet, but usually I open all the boxes and check all the parts to make sure they're good, make sure everything's there. In this case, you get your little clip package and your copper washers to go with the new caliper. And I want to make sure that all those parts are there in both boxes. Like I said, I checked them before I left the store. Everything was there. Make sure you have a right and left caliper. I've had that before where I've asked for calipers, the guys grabbed them, handed them to me, brought them home, and realized that I had two rights or two lefts. Brake rotors. If you're getting fancy brake rotors that are slotted, drilled and slotted, you might want to make sure that those, if you need a right and left of those, that you have both right and left. And then of course your brake pads, you want to open those up. Like I said, I like to do it before I leave the store. In this case, they've got them all wrapped in a little package, but it's clear so you can look through and see that there's no delamination, nothing's coming off, that all four brake pads are there. You got two of each, inner and outer. Just make sure that they're there and everything's as it should be. Well, I guess you can say that for any part that you're going to be replacing. Check it before you leave the auto parts store. It only takes a couple seconds to open the box. Rotors, they're tape closed. In this case, I don't know if you want to go ahead and rip those open, but you can if you want to. In this case, one was torn open, so I checked one. They're in a plastic bag. There's no rust. I'm sure they're from China. Everything's from China. End link. Make sure I had both nuts on here, both rubbers, all the washers. Just wanted to make sure that everything that was there that's supposed to be there before I leave the store, because it's a pain in the butt to have to go back and get stuff. So with that, we're going to go in and start tearing apart the brakes here on the driver's side, and we'll get this done and we'll video that part of it. And then I'll go ahead and do the passenger side off camera. It's a little tighter on that side of the shop, and if you can see how to do one side, you can do both sides. Alright guys, we're going to get going on the brake job here now. Back to, there's another video, real quick one. Shows you how to make these. Clamp off the line. This video is not to show you how to do brakes, just showing them being done. I am not a professional mechanic by any stretch of the imagination.
done in here now. This is what I always had issues with when it comes to doing brakes. I can't remember. This one has. Yeah. It's silly Fords, and let's get that. Yeah, I've done 15 home year coating. I'll put it here. How about the breaker bar? Half-inch breaker bar. Okay, here's the old one of those. Interesting. Friction fitting?
Alright guys, I checked the manual and it looks like they gave me the brake discs rotors for the four-wheel drive, not for the two-wheel drive. Then I called the vehicle's owner and discussed it with him, and since these are in pretty good shape, there's no ridge anywhere on them, there's no deep scratches, and they're within spec. I checked it with a micrometer. He said go ahead and just put them back together with the new calipers and new pads. So that's the way we're going to go. So we're going to get these calipers put together. This is the driver's side one. You want to make sure you're starting with the right one. In this case, it goes on like this, bleeders at the top. So make sure I had the right one. This is my first time doing brakes on these, so we're going to figure it out together.
Oh, you want to throw that old one up here? Don't dump it on the floor. No, we got it clear. It's just regular. Yeah, just put it this way, doesn't have to. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Put it around. Yeah, I got it. and we'll be right back.
All right, we're back. Got this caliper back together, ready to go on. I'm gonna go ahead and slip it in place, bolt it in, and get these brakes done. So, slide it on. I know, not rocket science. Put our bolts back in. Sometimes that's the trickiest part.
One. I'll look at the torque specs in a few minutes and get those torques back. Looks like you're almost stuck on here. Have to see if we can get that one off. You want to grab me a pick there, Bolton? Yeah. All right. Yeah, there's one right there. There we go. Alright, I need looks like an 8mm wrench. Okay. I can do this 10. Nope, 9. Or 3/8. Try 3/8.
Okay, we're gonna let this gravity bleed for a few minutes here till we see it dribbling out, and then we'll go ahead and bleed the brakes the conventional way after we get the other side done.